What's going on, guys? I am going to do a video today on CCL. So, we have been in this potential, what we could call a bear flag. I mean, yes, it's, a little bit worrisome because we have this strong downwards movement breaking down from this long-term trend line here of this potential rising wedge. Well, it was a gigantic rising wedge here. Whatever way you slice it, it was a rising wedge, and we had this touch here, we had this touch here, we had this touch here, and then we failed this last touch right here, and here we are coming all the way down, bouncing off this support of this consolidation here, which was once resistance. We have resistance here. We had a breakout here that ripped us up, came down, couldn't backtest this level, fell all the way down, so on and so forth. We've been over this a few times. We had a fake breakdown here, ripped back up, inverse head and shoulders, and took off. And, I made a video last time around this level here of 2150 that I went long on Monday morning. And then I took my profits up here in the $30 range on the first run up. And I let everybody know that I was taking profits and I wasn't going to be getting back in on that $30 range, even though at the time I didn't notice this rising wedge until we started getting up in this range. And then I put a nice hefty short in up in the $30 range. And then I took my profits a little soon around this $25, $24 level here, because in the past, going straight across, we kind of wicked it, and I was assuming this would have been some support, but I did get some large profits here, and then I didn't do any shorting in this range. So now obviously we could make the case, like I just said, that this is a gigantic bear flag or continuation pattern. However, it is an ascending triangle, and ascending triangles can, and most of the time, do break to the upside. So, we're getting this potential ascending triangle from this straight line of support that we've had back here that was support, and now we have to figure out if it's going to flip to resistance or if we can break back above. So, where we're at right now is the same level as we always are. Now, prior to that, I did put a resistance here at 2334, and then I had my support down here. But, as we had this breakdown here, it was found as support right here, which brought me to the case that we have a wick here. We didn't quite reach it there, and then we wicked there. So, we could draw it like this and say we had a fake breakdown potentially, which is a possibility that it's looking more like that. We could also make a case that we have potential rising wedge here as well, which would be just a further corrective move here until ultimately breaking to the downside, which is something that we will want to keep in mind. However, although that could be a possibility for a bearish case scenario, we also want to keep this idea on the radar that if this was a ascending wedge, ascending triangle, and we did break up back into this range, looking here in the history, and this is all based off of probabilities, that anytime we broke this level, we didn't find any type of resistance until about $29. Well, we'll call it from $27.86 to way up here at this $29 range. So that is something to keep in mind here. You can see anytime we came and broke this level and back tested or anything, we just went straight to the moon. So that's why we're having such trouble here, because this is one of the biggest resistances on the chart, and this is one of the biggest supports on the chart. So although this could be consolidating for a further move down, if we were to close some candle bodies above this 2404 level, then we would be potentially having this target way up here at $29. Now, we could stall out here at this 2570 level up to this 2670 level, because you can see here when we did have this drop, we did try to find some support right there, which we eventually tanked, and it looks like that was around 26.23 to be exact. So I'm not expecting exactly that we would just right on up, but we might come up, back test, come up, find some resistance. Maybe once we broke that, then we'd have our moonshot there. Now that's all in a bullish case scenario here. So, looking at the volume here on this run right here that we just had off this bounce of support, which was roughly around this 2150, and say we were to get rejection here and come back down, this could be anywhere from the $22 to $22.50 range, depending on where we hit it. Looking at the daily here, we don't have any divergences, but we do have pretty potential clear, rising support on the RSI on the daily. If we were to chalk it up like that, I mean, it's not that clear because we had that fake break potentially, but if we were to look at it like this, that would be something to keep in mind, that if this is the case, something like that could be in the cards. But for now, I don't know if I want to look at it like that just yet, and I can't really see anything else formed there. If we look in the 4 hour, it might show us a little clearer, but let's see what we're doing with the RSI on the 4 hour. So we can clearly see that on the RSI, on the MACD, we got that bullish cross. We have potential divergences right now on the MACD, and we have potential divergences, not quite, because we're straight across in the RSI and we're straight across in the price action. However, it is starting to roll a little bit here, so we have to keep an eye on that. Looking at the 3 hour, we're kind of in the same spot. 2 hour, we're in the same spot. 1 hour, I have to get a little bit of a zoom out here. We are potentially getting rejected once again at this area. So roughly, if we were to zoom in here, even if we said, hey, this was our resistance at this $24 even level, and we brought this resistance down a hair, we could say that as long as we were to hold this 24 level, this could be pretty good. However, we seem like we are getting some clear resistance where I have my box. So I do want to just continue keeping it there. We had this one wick here up, a lot of indecision. We could say that, hey, this was some kind of rising wedge right here on the smaller time frame, something like that we had our breakdown target reached right here, 23.42, just about, bought back up, and we're still continuing here. So that's just something to keep in mind, that if that was the case, we already hit that target. Looks like we came right down to this 23.41 here, so we do want to hold that level. Let's see, did we break it a little bit? We did not break it at all, so we'll put it just like that. We'll show some clear support right there. But yeah, we're really at this point right now that, if this can somehow consolidate here for a little bit before a rip to the upside, that would be amazing. If we were to come back down, it could still catch support and then rip, because, there's a few days left in this pattern here. It's the 27th now. We'd want to see it break before September 10th. On the 45 minute, we're starting to notch over on the MACD, signaling to me that the momentum is starting to run out a little bit. We can go all the way down to the smaller time frames here just to see what we have going on. But, not seeing too much there. Let me see if I can pull something else out as far as some indicators. So Ichimoku cloud, we can see on the 4 hour, we popped up over this resistance here. which is very good. That was around 22.93. So from here, we really just need to break above this. And if we were to fall, we have this cloud and this resistance, this support, roughly around this 22.50. And if we did wick as low as 22.07, that would show us on the 4-hour chart that could be support too. But this is a good sign because we finally got above this cloud. And you can see here during this whole downtrend here on the 4-hour, we were finding resistance here. We were far away from the cloud. Once we started trending up, we were getting resistance. We were coming down back to the cloud, getting resistance, and then we finally ripped up here. We closed our 4-hour candle body almost perfectly right here at 23.04, and now we're just getting this little bit of struggle up in this range. So, we're going to have to keep an eye on here, because if it was to correct itself a little bit just by going sideways, then, we could make some kind of flag here that could drag us out enough to get out of this pattern. We'll have to see how that plays out, of course. But, on the daily, we still have some pretty strong resistance above that we're going to be having to deal with if we can reach that far. And that first area is 25.36. So that's something we need to keep in mind here. And it also makes me curious to know if this was some type of, bear flag or some sort of rising channel here that we are starting here, which, could potentially be some kind of uptrend starting. We need to keep in mind that this area of 25.30-ish to $25 will be some strong potential resistance. I would be perfectly fine with this kind of doing some crazy volatile action here where we just continue trending in this uptrend here, which would end up being a slow zigzagging way up to wherever we end up landing, whether that's up in this 29.13 level or not. But it would definitely take some time to do so. But that's kind of where we're at here. But I do like that. I do want to look at the weekly Ichimoku cloud here right now, because this is going to tell a lot right here. And it is. And this is something I brought up to you guys in my last video on CCL, was that we had this red resistance cloud. I know it's hard to see because Ichimoku cloud has so many different lines, but we had this red Ichimoku cloud right here, which was around that 29.87 area that we talked about, which is why I sold my position up in this range. This was the area that was so critical to close a weekly above and start holding above in order to show some higher prices. And of course, we got rejected there. We continued that as our resistance all the way down. And then we ended up getting down here where we had all this cloud. And I said, in a couple weeks from now, because I think the video probably was right around here, because I remember we had a pretty good sized drop that was kind of, making me a little nervous on my idea, but I stayed in my position that I had from this 1945 that I went long at 1945, but it wicked down to this 1910 or whatever. But I was talking about if we continued holding this level, we would start to get past this red resistance. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that this thing couldn't get rejected here and fall all the way back to this support here of 1910 for a beautiful double bottom, because that's a very good possibility as well, because we don't want to get too bullish here and then we end up having this happen, which could either, number one, bring us down or further, or number two, could bring us back to that support down below, which ultimately could give us a nice, hold on a second, I gotta delete that. That could give us a nice landing strip to bounce off of here. But as of right now, this is all off a weekly chart. We don't have much volume, by volume, that's for sure. Very, very low volume here. But we are closing above this 22.27. And this right here is the cloud right here of support. So we do want to continue to hold that. And if we do, then this potential idea of this uptrend here starting could ultimately bring us to a new high. So we just want to keep all of this in mind, that it does look pretty damn good to me that we're holding this cloud here on this weekly time frame. And we have this MACD that's slowly rounding up here, and then we just kind of have this RSI that's, just kind of slowly zigzagging up here, which, whether or not that ends up turning into a rejection or not, that's something we'll just have to play by ear. But, right now, we're at a very critical spot. So I kind of want to go down to the 5-minute, as this is, live price action right now. And we can kind of see that we're just really just trying to get ourselves above this level. And I have like 16 lines here. But for me, I was really looking at this 25.13 level as our biggest resistance. We did get rejected. This is 24.07. So, it could be somewhere between that $24 range and that 24.13, but I am watching very closely. You can see even on the 5-minute, we came down, we tapped this Ichimoku cloud here that was resistance here, and we could not back test here. Even on the 5-minute, it shows pretty clearly. When we lose this cloud, we just completely fall down, and we're kind of just bouncing off of it right now. This is a 5-minute, so it's not like super important. But there's a lot of things here telling me that although we're just kind of slowly uptrending here and it's taking a long time, if we can break and hold above this level here, this could be gearing up for a very, very large move. I'm just not sure yet if it's going to be needing to come back down first, or if this is where we're at and this is getting really close to breaking out here. So that's something I'm just kind of watching here. Are we going to go sideways, rip, come back down, bounce, and rip, or are we going to lose that, come down here, and then potentially have another area? But it seems like this pattern's so clear right now that it makes sense to me if we would get some kind of breakout here soon. So let's keep an eye on what's going to happen. But, this could be something gearing up for a big move. In which direction? That's what we have to ask ourselves, and we have to watch. All right, guys. Well, that's about it. I hope that was enough information, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave me a like and comment below what you guys think is going to happen here. Do you guys think that we're going to get a nice breakout here? Or do you guys think that due to everything going on with Delta and all the other news that, the buyers just aren't here, nobody's interested, and this is going to end up chalking up to a breakdown? I'd really be interested to see what you guys are thinking. All right, until next time. Peace.